Y'all, this book makes me want to scream. This book is really driving me crazy, y'all, for real. Rashona Landfair went through so much. Now, this is just my reaction from chapters 1 through 10. So I'm not even done with this book, but this book has me on an emotional roller coaster. If I wasn't done with R. Kelly before, I'm really done with him now. Just the way he embedded himself and infiltrated himself in Shorty's life, in her family, in her finances, in her career, in her heart, in her mind, in her body, in her soul. It is so sickening. And for her to have been introduced to him at the age of 12, adolescent girl meeting this rich and powerful man, just being fully enthralled in his world and not having a world of her own, a voice of her own, anything. So if you don't already know, this is Jane Doe, the girl who had the Smex tape with R. Kelly back in the day, and it came out and everybody who saw it or heard about it was outraged. She is just now speaking out as a fully grown woman, a mom at that, and she has finally found her voice. There were so many things that tripped me out in these first few chapters. First of all, Shorty, Rashona, she has a baby voice. So I'm listening to the audiobook, and what she sounds like today puts me in a space of what she may have sounded like as a 14-year-old. She sounds like a child. So that is trippy in itself, because you're listening to her read the book, and then there's times when she's giving you verbatim things that she said to the demon, and she was made to call him daddy from a young age. She didn't want to, she didn't like it, she already had a dad, and she was made to call him daddy. So every sentence that she said to him most often was yes daddy, but you're hearing her say it, and she has this soft fluffy voice and it just puts you almost like you're there. It puts you in that space almost like you were there. Some other things that kind of blew my mind in this first 10 chapters. So we all know that he tinkled on her face in the video. We all know that. Well, from what she said, that wasn't even the worst thing that he did to her. And if you go down the R. Kelly rabbit hole, hell hole, you know what other things he liked to play around with as well, with his trifling stinking behind. So she didn't go into detail about that. She kept that to herself, but she did say enough to let you know that she was one of the ones who had to do some of those things. Another thing that blew my mind was she was literally kept isolated for so many years. In this book, like I said, right now I'm on chapter 10. At this point, she's 23 and she's still in isolation. So he had started grooming her from age 12 all the way well into her early 20s. And so she didn't have a life. She didn't have much of a life outside of him. She didn't get to learn a lot or be around a lot of other people. He kept her isolated. He chose what family members she was allowed to be around and speak to. There was times where she was literally locked in a room, had to ask him to use the bathroom, or there was a cup in there that she could pee in. She had to ask for food, and there was times he would punish her by keeping food from her or by keeping the restroom, telling her she can't go to the restroom. She had no sense of self-worth, self-respect, what real love is, or a healthy relationship. None of it. So when it comes to her family, let's talk about Sparkle. Sparkle is her aunt, and that's a tough one, because Sparkle was the catalyst of all of this. Sparkle told Shorty at the age of 12, you should sit on his lap, rub his head, and ask him to be your goddad. She had never sat on this man's lap before. She had never done this before. And when she did it, that was the catalyst that started this whole entire thing. And with Sparkle, it's kind of like a mixed bag of feelings, because on one hand, almost every girl eventually learns that their femininity has power, and sometimes you can use that femininity to get some perks. For example, the whole like you can catch more flies with honey type of deal. So I honestly believe her telling Shorty to do that was a sense to be a little bit flirty, feminine, kind of to get in there with Robert so that her musical group could take off. I really don't believe that she knew that it was going to go as far as it went, because once it went as far as it went, she got word of it. She called Children's Services on Shorty's parents. She tried to fight to get her out of that situation, but Shorty lied, said this wasn't going on, and the parents chose to believe her. Then when the tape actually came out, Sparkle came back again like, hey, what we gonna do about this? And then at that point, the parents was really faced with it, and they had to make a decision. Robert talks to the dad. Shorty talks to her mom. The dad makes some kind of creeped out deal with Robert, because the dad was already playing guitar for Robert and a lot of people in the industry. So Robert was a part of their finances. He had gotten the mother a store, a shoe store. He had paid tuition for the brother. So they were reliant upon him. So even when Shorty was starting to get a little bit more self-respect, self-confidence, and want to rebel, she's tied into it from that angle as well. To me, her parents were cowards, especially that dad. And I understand why she released this book after her father had passed away. Because the people would have got in that behind if he were still here. She even went as far as naming his team that assisted with keeping her hidden after the trial, like his chef, the sound engineers, personal assistant, studio manager, the nanny, accountant. All those people knew that she was around and were assisting with keeping her a secret. And it's just so difficult to listen to, because there's so many moments where she could have just spoke up. She wanted to speak up, and she had not found the power yet to say anything. And then you keep listening, and a couple years go by, and it's like, girl, you still in this? Like, you know how the story goes, but you keep wanting it to go differently. R. Kelly is a demon. He's the devil, period. He's the devil. I used to be able to listen to his lighter songs. I don't want no parts. He's worse than I thought before. Just horrible. I'll be back, because my time's up. I'll be back with another reaction to this book. Who's Watching Shorty? Rashona Landfair.